go live, we can do that, or I
Hey,
can
hey, don't tell me how to run my stream.
or I can bitch a
He-
little bit, you know.
He already went live.
I already went live.
You gotta be careful. He does this stuff.
As you were looking down, you say, you can go live. I already went live. So
Fair enough.
welcome to another California crew plus some hillbilly. We got John from Surf City. We got myself. We got the hillbilly from the hills of Pennsylvania. Everybody knows Skipper. And today's guest is Luke Wang from
What's up, guys?
Northern California. A lot of you have seen Luke on many streams selling his plants, helping out the fish fam. He sold plants on the auction for the Arkoff. Yeah, I can't think right now. Okay, he sold plants to the Arkoff, and he sells plants on the Fish Fam auction. So, like you to welcome whatever his name is, Luke Wang.
Hey, Luke.
Thanks for having me.
So, Luke, tell us a little bit about yourself. When did you get into fish?
When did I get into fish? I was in college, and that's not that long ago, honestly.
I think you're about 16. You look 16.
Thanks. I slightly older than 16, but I guess I haven't been doing fish that long. I just found myself in a series of circumstances that had me advancing fairly quickly, I guess. I started doing it when I was getting out of college, and then ended up working at a fish store for a while. Moved here so I could set up my fish room and breed apistos and grow plants out. I've since switched mostly to plants because I have the most fun with those. But yeah, keep all sorts of stuff. Got a couple reefs. There's a snake, some geckos. Can't stop collecting is how it is.
So before we go on, let me say hello to everybody who's here. I don't go back that far on on StreamYard. So Skipper, if I miss anybody, you can say hello. Misa, good afternoon. Misa is a Northern California person as well. So I'm sure Luke knows him from the Sacramento Aquarium Society. Coral, Linda Worth, Aquaballs, George. I spent today with George. Went to see his fish room. We went to a fish store, a couple of, went to one of the local breeders, discus breeders. So it was great to hang out with George today. I brought home some fish. Fernandito, ¿cómo está, Fernando? Greetings from the Peruvian Amazon on our brand new Starlink internet that we have now at the center. Sketty Nona, Dan Coran, another SAS member. Did I miss anybody above Linda Worth there, Skipper? I know I probably did.
All right. You also got Cosman.
Cosmo, yes,
here.
Cosmo.
Mexicali Fish Keeper.
Yes, Jorge.
Silver Creek Aquatics, Jeff Kane. I think that's it.
Okay. For those who we didn't say hello to, hello, how are ya? So again, we have, for those who came in late, we have Luke Wang. Luke is a local Northern California, used to be fish keeper. Now he's a plant keeper.
I still keep fish.
You're talking to these people who, or at least for me, who has a black thumb when it comes to plants. I don't take the time. And John, Surf City, he's a cichlid man. Cichlids don't like plants except plastic plants.
I tried.
Yeah, I tried. And Skipper can't keep anything alive.
No, I can't. Everything in these tanks are dead.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of which, Skipper's gotten some stuff from me. How are those things doing?
Ever since I switched my light to a grow light I got off of Amazon, everything's been starting to grow pretty good.
What kind of grow light?
That's some It's a boost. It's LED. They're only $20 a piece,
Oh, okay, I gotta write that down.
and they're 2 foot long. I can
Oh.
send you the link.
Okay, you can send me a link sometime, or you can post it here for other people who may want to see it.
Okay.
Okay.
But
So
yeah,
look-
ever since I did that, they started growing better.
Go ahead.
This fertilizer I'm using, which will be
Fertilizer. Okay.
later on, actually tomorrow.
No CO2.
No.
No. Okay.
No, I didn't really want to get into that because in my eyes, that's, for me, I think that's a lot of money when you get into it. To me, personally.
Yeah, and a lot of work. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Luke, how do you grow your plants, Luke?
I use plenty of CO2, but I will say most of them don't need it. My stress relief is my hours upon hours of trimming in the tank. And the rearranging, like sometimes I lose a couple hours just looking at the species and like, oh, you would probably look better next to these guys instead of where you're at right now. Like moving stuff around. Yeah, I do use a lot of CO2, but I wouldn't say that CO2 is necessarily any more work than not having it. Once you get it dialed in, you basically just leave it.
Well, yeah.
It is kind of pricey though.
Yeah, that dialing it in is something that I would get very frustrated with. Because
Well, with
if
the load
one
that I
bubble per
have,
second is good, why not 10 bubbles per second? You know, who knows?
with the load that I have, I don't really need to think about dialing it in. I can essentially turn it up as far as I go, and the plants will absorb it.
How many tanks are you growing plants in, Luke?
Specifically for plants, I've got this guy behind me, and then there's 2 more tanks, but they're plumbed together. So 70-ish gallon lowboy and a 50-gallon lowboy.
And is it a single? Do you have a single tank, single CO2 tank driving them all?
No, I have a 10-pound tank driving this guy by itself, and then I have a 20-pound tank driving the 2 tanks in there. There's one output to the plant rack where I have for grow out, but then there's another that goes to escape because I have a Dutch style that I'm grooming out that I'd love to show, but can't do that for a few months still.
Yeah.
And so how long? So you have a 10 and a 20. How long do those tanks last? How long are you filling? How often are you filling them?
About every 6 months or so.
That's not too bad.
So that's not that bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you've never done it, you need to go to a welding store to replace your CO2. You can't go to a fish store and ask them to swap out your canister because you can pay the same price as a fish store essentially to just go and get it swapped out. When you swap out the tank, you don't need to do anything to the regulator either. As long as you make sure that the solenoid is off, you can just close off the tank, take the thing off, put the new tank on, and then plug it back in. It should work just as it was prior.
It should.
Plug and play. What can go wrong?
Yep. Or you can always go to paintball stores, but that's a little expensive there to do that.
Paintball canisters work, but for me, using one of those, I would probably run out in a matter of days to weeks as opposed to 6 months.
Yeah.
So like you worked in a local fish store?
Yeah. At the time I was living in Oakland, out in the SF Bay area, East Bay. And there's a now closed store called Albany. They closed this January after 50 years, same owner. But they kind of specialized in plants. So when we got new interesting stuff in, it was easy for me to bring it home and try it out. And that kind of got me started down the plant lane.
So what's your most obscure plant you have?
Most obscure plant I have.
Something that you don't find very often in people's tanks or in stores.
Well, there are a couple things in this tank that I collected when I was visiting Portland for Fishtoberfest with a guide. So those are probably not in the hobby.
What do you collect with a guide? What's that supposed to mean?
A guide?
Yeah, but collect where?
Oh, just in the Portland area.
In the local waterways?
Yeah.
And it survived in your warmer tanks?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, this Ludwija, for example, I grabbed at in Portland. It's probably got the nicest orange and just like flat orange that I have in the tank, but it kind of annoys me because it sends out side shoots at every node, way more than the other Ludwijas that I have. Even Palustris, which is in the back, which does send out a bunch of side shoots, but that guy, every single node has a side shoot on it, which is...
Now, is it a native up there or an exotic?
I have not positively identified it. Ludwijas will hybridize fairly readily, so I wouldn't want to say. I can only say that it's a Ludwija species for sure. It has an affinity to Palustris, but it doesn't grow exactly the same as the other one that I have either.
Okay. So
once it flowers, we'll see.
The dark history of your aquarium has been speaking up that it's probably Luigia palustris and Persicarla maculosa are common in the area.
Yeah, so speaking of Persicaria maculosa, I likely do also have it. It's this guy here. I actually just trimmed it. It's got really big leaves. Well, that's not visible, is it?
No,
Hold up.
We see you poking your hand in there. That's all.
We can make him solo so it's bigger.
Yeah, make him. Well,
this guy.
Oh, okay.
Is likely Persicaria maculosa. I haven't positively identified it either, but I also grabbed it out there. It's definitely got bigger and broader leaves than this guy, which is Sao Paulo, and this guy here, which is Kawagoianum.
So you have, what's the palm looking thing up front?
This guy?
Yeah.
This is a Xyrus species, and it's called Xyrus species red. It is in the hobby, but this one is just a really nice. It's the same width as the length of my hand.
Yeah.
And probably my favorite plant in the tank. Not gonna lie.
So you're quite the opposite of me in that I want to keep biotope type plants, not a hodgepodge of plants from all over the world.
Well, I do like biotopes, but this isn't really a scape necessarily. It's just sort of it's just my garden. So yeah. A lot of people like moss a lot, and I don't mind moss, but in this tank it's the devil because it does the exact same thing as algae. Different tanks have different standards for sure.
So how many hours a week do you spend with your planted tanks?
Sorry, one more time?
How many hours a week do you spend like just maintaining your pruning your planted tanks?
I do 2 1/3 water changes a week. I do a water change every 3 days. So each time that takes about 45 minutes.
How much
Trimming
water?
takes probably 10 hours a week,
How much water?
12 hours maybe.
How much water are you doing at a time?
Approximately 25 gallons,
Okay.
about half the tank.
Yeah, and 10 to 12 hours of pruning. That's a serious commitment.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, here I can show you the other plant rack that's in the fish room, if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's your stream. Oh, he dropped something.
While he is walking back to his fish room,
Talk about your thing, Skip.
he will actually be on the Fish Fam auction tonight.
Yes. Right after this stream, there'll be a Fish Fam auction going on Skipper's channel.
And you'll have a chance to buy some plants off of him.
Okay. Go ahead there, Wangy. That just came out. I didn't think about what I was going to say before I said it. Okay.
It certainly did just come out.
Yeah, it did. It just came out.
You can't help himself.
Yeah, this is the other plant rack that I had. So this is the top.
Is this like your cell rack?
Pretty much, yeah. Everything is potted, so everything's easier to move around. Trimming is pretty easy because I don't have the substrate all the way to the top. So if I just mow at the pot level, then the bottom parts can regrow. This is that same Ludwija that I was talking about earlier.
Good.
I just trimmed it back yesterday and replanted all the side shoots. And then down here is the bottom of it. So these two in the corners here are probably, or not, this one in the corner and this guy here are likely, honestly, the rarest plants that I have in my collection. But
Yeah.
they showed up to me super crispy from transport. So we shall see if they make it or not. They're
It's not that rare.
Dicranopygium.
It's not that rare because I have a bunch of plants look just like that in my tanks. All dead.
What, death?
Yeah. All shriveled up. So, it's a very common plant for me.
Not quite dead yet, but it's pretty much there, which is disappointing.
Well, but if the roots are still good, maybe it'll reshoot.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not super hopeful. They have been declining since I've gotten them, but this guy down here, I've been enjoying a lot. Also, this is the bottom. I guess you could call it the sump, but don't really have a sump. For terrestrial people, this is a pretty bad looking philodendron pink princess.
It's pretty nice.
This is my CO2 here. So then the line goes up to there, and the tank is here, 20-pound tank.
And so,
Yeah.
So the CO2 actually goes into the sump, so to speak, and not the top tank?
Well, the CO2 goes in, this is the pump that runs it.
Yeah.
So the pump feeds to here, and then this is a CO2 blender, essentially.
Okay.
So it feeds in here, and then there's a pipe that goes down to the bottom, and it's textured in the center to help keep the cyclone going to the bottom. And then I made my own inputs. Okay. So these are PVC. Basically, I wanted to make this thing so that there was no surface movement at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I set the bottom output a couple inches below, and then I also made my own input for the filter. So essentially, it's the entire width of the tank, and the output is also. Hoping to achieve laminar flow.
And those are 50 low boys, right?
So this one up top is more like 70. The one down below is 50. No, this one is yeah, approximately 70 up top, but it's not completely full. So all total water volume, it's depending on how much it's evaporated, it's about 90 to 100 gallons.
Okay. Well, we're let's talk about why you're really here. So talk about FinDig for us, for especially those on the East Coast who may not know what FinDig is.
FinDig is Sacramento Club's response to the little event that has been going on for 2 years now in Portland called Fishtoberfest. And we were just sort of inspired, having gone to it and hung out. We just thought that California needed an event of some similar fashion, because clearly it works well to promote the club and promote the hobby in the area. And that should be the main goal of the club. So here we are. We're exactly 2 weeks away, and there have been a few long nights, but we are plugging on along.
And so what's going to happen at FinDig? Who's speaking?
So it's going to be Saturday and Sunday, June 3rd and 4th, and we've got 6 speakers all totaled. On the 3rd, we've got 5 speakers, and on the 4th, we've got 1 speaker as well as a mega auction. Nice. Everyone is welcome. On Sunday, we're not charging an at-the-door fee. Saturday is going to be $25. So Saturday, the speakers will include Jerry Liang from the San Francisco Aquarium Society. He's going to be talking about the Taipei fish market, aquarium market down in Taiwan. Cool. There's going to be Eric Lucas from bipetshrimp.com. He's talking about shrimp.
Really? I would have never guessed that one.
Shrimp and what they're good to feed.
Okay.
Sorry, no, that probably won't be it.
No.
I have a feeling that wouldn't help him out that much. Then we've also got Pam Chin talking about probably some of her dives in Lake Tanganyika. Mm-hmm. And then we've got Dick Au talking about his time in the fish hobby and the progression that we've made and his experience of it. And then we've got Joey Mullen, the king of DIY, to close out.
On Saturday, or is that Sunday?
That's going to be on Saturday. So due to some speaker schedule misalignments, we did need to switch Chuck Rambo and Joey Mullen.
Okay.
It has been publicized in our social media now, but unfortunately, it was a fairly last-minute switch. Sorry to everyone about that. It was sort of unavoidable, but indeed, Joey is going to be on Saturday, and then we will have Chuck Rambo talking about his experience of the fish hobby on Sunday.
And is it going to be point counterpoint, Joey and Alex in a debate?
Oh man, that one's going to have to be a pay-per-view exclusive after hours thing, you know?
Yep.
We'll go to a hotel room, give them a case of beers, and see where that goes.
Yep. And so, with the mega auction, I mean, how many? Talk about your normal auctions that you guys have when you have your big auctions at Sacramento. How many items are there? Do you expect something very similar at the Sunday auction?
We do expect our Sunday auction to be bigger. than a normal mega auction.
And so, how many items are in
so-
your mega auction?
In the last mega auction that we had, which was in April, we went through 617 items. And typically for a mega auction, we restrict you to 60 bags maximum, which is not a small number.
16, 1 6
No, 60
per person.
per person for mega auction.
Wow.
In a normal monthly auction, which we do have every month after the speaker,
Yeah.
we limit you to 15 currently, 1-5. But
Yeah.
at the mega auction, you are limited to 60. At the FinDig mega auction, club members will be unrestricted, and non-members will be limited to 60 items, 60. So
Wow.
that being said, we expect to have quite a few more than 617 items in the mega auction.
That's like, okay, now, that's going to take a long time, I would assume, right? So, like, the ends do it pretty quick. Like, try to get through them quick, or do you, I don't.
We will be doing that, but we've got a system that we're doing for this auction where I will be reading the names off of the bags, and there will be 2 auctioneers bouncing back and forth and auctioning the items off, so that everyone can get a bit of a break to take a sip of water or whatever, and we can just roll through everything. In general, we went through the 600 items in 6.5 hours approximately, plus another half hour, 45 minutes to do all the checkout stuff at the end. And then the mega auction at the FinDig will start at 2 p.m. So we are, of course, hoping to get out of there early, but if it goes till later, we are ready for it also.
Wow.
There's also going to be a vendor floor. So that's part of what you're paying for on Saturday. You're going to get better selection amongst the vendors and the things that they bring. On Sunday, you will be welcome to come, but likely all the good things will have been sold by people who were more enthusiastic and came the prior day. After everything all shuts down on Saturday night, we will also be hosting a rare fish auction with Pam Chin. All of the proceeds will be going to Arkoff.
Nice. That's awesome.
Nice.
I'll see you guys later. I got to go get stuff set up.
Okay.
Have a
See you.
good
Yep,
Talk to you
thanks.
soon.
Luke,
Please,
when,
Skipper, get out of here.
trying.
So, Doc, are you planning on coming? I know the plans have been kind of changing
No,
every now
am
and then. So,
I am leaving for Peru on Wednesday.
got it.
Yeah, but you know, I will be sending things up, so there will be a few items for me for sure.
Well, we're looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Yeah. So 60 items per, and I know on your normal auctions you're limited to how many duplicates you're allowed to bring. Do you guys have any rules on that this time?
I am not certain off of the top of my head, but I do believe we will still be limiting every same bag or every duplicate bag to maximum 3 per person.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to have 20 bags of your duckweed being sold one after the other.
Yeah.
That's just not what everyone wants. So
Yeah. And is it just plants and fish, or because I know, dry goods, you tend to have a silent auction for it at a lot of times at your club.
it should be everything just rolling through the live auction.
Okay.
There may be some changes made to that And there will be some special silent auction items. For example, I have a scape that we're going to be setting up and we're going to be auctioning off. I'm going to take the cost of the cost of the setup and the rest of whatever the final bid, the rest of that will go straight to the club. So certain things like that, we're going to have a special silent auction for running the entire weekend. But if you submit items to the mega auction, they should be going through live auction.
Okay. John and I and Stephanie talked about trying to do something in Southern California because, we have a lot of people here in Southern California, and we have local clubs. Going to Sacramento is 6 hours for us. It's not that far, but, getting a hotel, locally, some people, I know there are people from here going up, some people from Coast Club. I'm not sure about San Diego because I haven't been to the San Diego Club in a while, but I know there's a handful driving up together here from Southern California. So, hopefully it's a good event and hopefully it's well attended, that you.
Yeah. I would be excited and definitely would attend an event down in SoCal if you guys threw one. Like you said, 6 hours, 8 hours is not that far. I'm happy to drive that. We can figure it all out.
Well, you drove up to Portland,
Yeah, exactly. Well, you were up in Portland too, so it's not.
Yeah, but I flew. That was different. I didn't drive. I flew.
Well, regardless of how you get there, you get there, right?
Yeah.
We are hoping that our location isn't too bad because it's a doable drive for you guys down south.
Yeah.
It's a doable drive for the guys up in Portland, and Alex is coming. He's coming from Seattle, so that's the entire coast. Hopefully, it's as accessible as possible.
Yeah. And it's if you've never been to one of these shows, one of these little mini conferences, it's great to meet people. That's why I like going. You meet people that you may only contact them over email, or in the case, you have YouTubers there. I know, Joey has a really big following, regardless of, whether you like Joey or not. He has a huge following. For those who really enjoy his stream, it's a time, where you get to see him live, which, unless you are in Canada, because he's Canadian, you're not going to get that opportunity very often. For a while, he didn't do that many shows. So, it's you'll see people you won't have an opportunity to see if you just stayed at home.
Yeah, we're definitely excited to have, not only Joey, which, he does have a huge following. We're excited to have him. Hopefully that brings a lot of good publicity to the club because that's what everyone's goal is. But none of the other speakers are really anything to sneeze at either.
No. Pam Chim, she's been going to Tanganyika for a long time. She knows her Africans. So, she's well known in the hobby. She does the babes of, what are they called? I don't want to use their acronym because this is a family friendly.
The babes in the cichlid hobby.
Yeah, babes in the cichlid hobby. Yes, they're BITCH is their initials, and that's what they call themselves. But babes in the cichlid hobby. And they raise money for the ACA. They've been doing that for hundreds of years, not hundreds, but for as long as I can remember. And hearing about ACA, they've been doing auctions there and to help raise money for conservation efforts. So there's some well-known and some people who've been around the hobby for a long time and who have done some really good things for the hobby. Yeah.
And speaking of them, when we were initially discussing the idea of doing it, Pam was that was at Fishtoberfest, and Pam as well as Caroline Estes were both there, and they were kind of egging us on too. That was definitely part of why we've been putting in all this effort to try to make this thing happen. if the hobby can grow, that's the best thing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for me, what one of the things I really like to concentrate on is bringing more people into the hobby, especially kids. I mean, when I go speak at clubs, I speak at clubs all over the U.S. and I've done international talks. We primarily what's in the audience is people looking like me, old white men. The hobby is not bringing in that many kids anymore because there's so many things they can do online, all the online games and stuff that they're just not getting into the hobby. That's why,
Yep.
you have a kid there in your group who, him and his dad are really active in the aquarium hobby.
Yeah, I mean that kid is especially amazing. I think he's above and beyond what any normal kid would do in terms of fish keeping. But we do totally agree in concept also that like if it's a bunch of old people in the hobby, at one point like everyone's gonna die. Young people are gonna die later than old people, right? So got to get the youth in. That's also why we've decided that kids 16 and under are going to be free both days.
Yeah.
If you've got a tank, come on by, try to get some of the stuff because you're going to get some good deals and extend your own hobby.
There's a long list of hobbies that have died.
So we have a question. Yep. Look at that train, HO train and the model train stuff. That, there's not that many kids doing that anymore. So, we don't want our hobby to be the same. But there is a question from Mike M. What's the name of the red sword plant often showed in Luke's stream? Any specific name?
The one in the 50-gallon, Mick?
What he says it's often seen in your stream. So probably, that's the one.
That's most likely going to be the rainbow marble sword. Echinodorus species rainbow marble. That's the one that Stephen P. keeps trying to steal from me.
Now, and that is an aquarium derived individual, right? I mean, I don't think that occurs.
I'd have to imagine so. There are some things with crazy names that are wild collected and someone just kept and they're stable and they just are called something crazy. Look at all the booses, right? But that most swords, if they're not species identified, I would say are probably done in culture since they're pretty easy to flower. And
Luke, you want to get kicked off my stream? Don't ever say.
How much further do I got to push it?
Don't go say species again. It's species.
I don't recall ever saying species, but I'll make sure I say Corridora every time.
Yeah,
here we go.
That's 2 strikes against you. One more. You're going into, you're gonna go in the corner for 5 minutes. You're gonna be in the penalty box.
Then you get stuck answering all these questions.
I'll just say, I'll say Luke doesn't know what he's talking about. Don't listen to him.
That'd be perfect. Leave Dr. Anthony and me to talk about a bunch of plants.
Yeah, about plants. Yeah. Alex, that's why Alex never is allowed because he's a Corridora fan.
Corridoras. Yeah. So Luke, I may have missed it. Is this the first annual FinDig?
In a manner of speaking, it is the first annual FinDig. We already do have conversations about FinDig 2024, but nothing is set in stone yet. Technically not the first, but the last one that happened was in 2005. So first annual revival FinDig, shall we say?
Excellent. And any indications? You have registration already up. Like how big is the facility? How many? What?
It's about 5,000 square feet, and we've got 23 vendors confirmed currently. I mean, we're pretty much at the end, but there are some people that have been talking to us and haven't quite filled out paperwork and haven't quite filled out forms and paid the vendor fee yet. But
So maybe some last minute registrations, but
right, we're looking at 23 to 6, but likely closer to the 23. 5,000 square feet. We're going to have all the vendors. We're going to have the speaker. It's all going to be one big room, and we're going to have the speakers mic'd up. Hopefully the vendors will also get to enjoy some of the talks that are happening.
excellent. And what do you think? What do you think the foot traffic is going to be at attendance?
Well, right now we've got a bit over 100 tickets sold. So we'll see. There's always going to be some last minute people showing up at the door, and hopefully we'll have many more kids that did not buy a ticket also.
Right.
But in terms of interactions with people, it seems like there are lots of people that we didn't even expect to have heard about it that have heard and are planning on attending and are excited about it. So yeah, I don't think that there would be any less than 150 people coming through.
Well, having streams like this is critical, right? And
Definitely. And thanks again for having me on.
Well, no problem.
I wasn't aware. I work a lot, and I'm not necessarily able to follow all of the streams and all of what's going on in the hobby. So I'm sure that there are quite a few others that are going to learn between now and early June. So
yeah,
I might even find my way up there to join you all. That would be awesome.
It would be awesome to see everyone. Of course, you guys, but yeah, anyone who's planning on coming, come say what's up. I'll be running around
with your like a chicken with your head cut off.
Yeah, something along those lines.
So is it just freshwater? Any saltwater people? I know it's mostly, your club is mostly freshwater, but since you do work at a saltwater place now,
As far as I know, there will not be saltwater. There is one vendor who signed on saying that they do sell both fresh and saltwater fish, but I'm not really certain what they're planning on selling specifically at the FinDig, since I don't know that it would necessarily be worth it to bring saltwater to a freshwater convention.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I do think that there is plenty of crossover between the two realms, despite their distaste for each other. So in the future, I would definitely like to see more saltwater.
Yeah. You get a whole mix of people in the hobby, even though, some saltwater people don't appreciate the freshwater hobby as much, and vice versa. Here at my house, I have both because my wife enjoys the saltwater more than I enjoy saltwater. She likes freshwater, but she also likes her little saltwater reef tank too. So
right, yeah, we've also got both, and I can say that my 50-gallon is higher tech than the reef.
Yeah,
I've put more money and gadgets into that than we've put into the reef, for sure.
Yep, that's for sure.
That's always been confusing to me. I just don't understand why both sides. It's one hobby, right? And even describing it, as sides, I hear that so frequently. It's if we do want to attract more youth, then those types of artificial distinctions just it's not going to help. Right?
Yeah, definitely, and especially recently with freshwater, the planted side has kind of been taking off. I think maybe something to do with cost of living and having to downsize a lot of tanks, and whatever the reason is, plants in freshwater have kind of taken off, and
Yeah.
Macroalgae and saltwater is kind of taken off, and they're like those two are really kind of starting to blend the two hobbies together. People have been keeping mud skippers and puffers and whatnot that are all brackish fish that now they're having some understanding of how to mix up saltwater. And there's a lot of people that know more than they think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think freshwater invertebrates that's another easy area of crossover, right?
Yeah.
You know, reef keepers, you could see them with a small 5 or 10 gallon freshwater shrimp tank easily.
Yeah. The way I view the reefs, like you need to know what's happening, right? But the reef is a high-tech planted tank where I'm also just monitoring calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and it's true what Alex just said. You know, a lot of people are going to macroalgae tanks for their saltwater tanks. You know, macroalgae only tanks. You know, which would have never, when I started in the hobby way back, with saltwater, algae was the scourge, no matter what type of algae it was. Now we know the benefits of having some algae, especially coralline algae in your tank. And before that, no one ever wanted to ever say, "Oh, I have algae in my tank," because you were thought of as a bad marine hobbyist if you had any type of algae in your tanks.
That's right. Decorations were frequently bleached.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest, I did start keeping saltwater after the advent of the macroalgae tank. So I've never been on the purge all the algae immediately train.
Yeah.
But I know that it exists.
Yeah. But it doesn't exist as much as it used to be. It used to be that was the rule. That was the rule. That so the lights, you didn't want to have these high fancy lights because you don't keep corals. Corals were not part of the hobby at all. It was a fish only tank. And if you did have inverts, it was some shrimp and maybe an urchin or two that, ended up dying because there was nothing to feed the animal. And, and so it was really fish only tanks, which were pretty, which were nice. But, when you see a reef tank, a huge reef tank that looks like you're underwater, as a scuba diver of 50 years and diving in the Red Sea and the Caribbean and all over the world in coral reefs, some of these really high tech big saltwater tanks you see in some of these reef stores or they look like you're underwater.
I would argue that some of these reefs that people are keeping look better than just going underwater to a reef. Because the sun blows out all the coral colors.
Yep, that's for sure. So Carl says that some Anubias and Amazon sore will survive in salinity, but macros can thrive.
Yeah, macros can survive in a lot lower salinity too. You don't need to keep it fully marine to have a macroalgae tank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. So you want to tell us anything else about FinDig before we wrap up and say our goodbyes?
Oh yeah. Thanks to our sponsors, ZoomEd, our sponsor ZoomEd, they sent me a pallet of things for goodie bags for anyone who got a ticket. So we will have those. We've got some good stuff in there.
Like what? Can you give us a preview? Maybe people want to come and spend that $25 and get a goodie bag that maybe is twice that amount in there.
I'll just say it's about as good as the goodie bag you got from the Triple Crown.
Well, I didn't go to the Triple Crown. Some of us
Well, that's your loss.
Don't get to go to these things because we're.
Yeah, there's some glass cleaner, there's some dechlor, there's some food. Basically everything you might need to pick up some fish while you're there and keep them alive until you get home.
What more can you ask for?
I think that's the best kind of care package for any fish keeper, right?
Yep.
Dr. Anthony, I haven't seen the link shared. Maybe it was shared earlier to the Sacramento.
For FinDig?
Hmm?
It's actually on the banner, and I will share it in
chat.
In chat. So I just shared it in chat. So anybody wants to click on that, that'll take you to the Sacramento Aquarium Fish Society's info page, and that'll take you right to the FinDig. And so it'll tell you, where's it at, the speakers, the times, everything that you may want to know, but we're afraid to ask about FinDig.
Yeah. Also, beyond ZoomEd, thanks to our other sponsors, AAA Tropical Fish, they'll also have a booth, as well as Hector's Everything, which we mentioned briefly earlier. Mm-hmm. Both are friends of the club and sponsors of the FinDig, so we really appreciate their contributions.
Hector has a fertilizer, all-in-one fertilizer for plants. Yeah,
and you'll also get a bit of that in your goodie bag, thanks to him.
Yep. So I picked some up in Fishtoberfest, hoping that it would help me out.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask.
It doesn't hurt.
How's that turned out so far?
Well, I will say my problem is my lights. I don't have the proper lights to really grow good plants. I'll either grow no plants or I'll grow Cladophora. So, what's better, no plants or Cladophora? Well, Cladophora is a nice plant.
Well, I'll send your wife home with some easier stuff, and we'll see how well you do.
I've tried easy. I've tried, I can grow some. It's not like, I have one tank with the new red pencil fish, the Sanipas, and the plants there are fine. That's a 20 long.
I mean, I got this tank by killing a bunch of plants, Everyone gets their fish rooms built up by killing a bunch of fish too. It's just what happens.
Yeah. Yep. That's for sure.
Unfortunate, but it's just what happens. You don't know what you're doing. You lose some stuff. You just try it again when you change a factor.
There's a lot of trial and error in this hobby. And I think that's what frustrates some people, because what works for you may not work for me, because my water's slightly different than yours. Unless we have exactly the same water.
We can have exactly the same water, Doc.
Well, yeah, you can. Yes, we can.
I use RO.
Yeah, but RO is a big expense, not because of the unit, but here in California, water is not cheap for us. That's one of the things that I try to get away from is, the work. I'm in the worst place in the world for someone who likes South American soft water, black water fish, because you're forced to use RO, or you're forced to do something to your water to make it so the fish will survive. They'll survive in hard. They survive in my hard water, but they're not going to be the best colors, not going to be in the best condition.
They're not thriving like they could.
Yeah.
That's the real reason RCOP exists, right?
That's right. And why can't I? Why can't I have first fell in love with Tanganyikan cichlids? Then I wouldn't have to worry about it. But unfortunately, yeah.
I hear it's a little more difficult to get to Lake Tanganyika than it is to get to Peru, though. So maybe you still lucked out.
Yeah, maybe. That's for sure. That's for sure.
That's the benefit of all of the YouTube channels and the things like the local clubs and events like you're putting on, Luke, is, there are a lot of folks that start the hobby, and as you mentioned, it's inevitable you're going to lose something, but minimizing that and helping people succeed more quickly in the hobby makes it more sticky, right? And so I think that's to me, that's one of the most beneficial things about all of the creators on YouTube and the clubs and such. So it's awesome to see you all putting on an event like this and bringing in, amazing speakers.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, we appreciate it.
I'm going to do what I can to be there. I'll shake your hand, say hi. I'd love to see Kenny.
Looking forward to it.
Looking at the chat here, Kenny's coming, Alex is going. That'd be great.
Yep. Be a lot of people there. Okay, Luke, we appreciate you coming on and tell us about FinDig, and I hope people will go to an amazing event that, you don't have to be on the East Coast to go to these events. We do have things, we do have things going on in the West Coast that people need to know about too. So appreciate you guys, what you guys are doing there in Sacramento to bring on such a good event for us, at a time when a lot of events have been shut down. So it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks again for having me.
Nope.
Like I said earlier, and final note, we also agree with all that. So some of the vendors at the spot are going to be local clubs, other clubs in the area, so that hopefully they can promote themselves and maybe boost their membership as well as our own. So we've got the San Francisco Aquarium Society, who is actually also having their 100th birthday party on June 2nd, the day before the FinDig. Mm-hmm. They will also be vendors at the FinDig. Vendors loosely, they're all promoting their clubs. But the San Francisco Aquarium Society, the San Francisco Bay Area Medaka Society, the Bay Area Peninsula Fish and Aquarium Society. I think I got that right.
Yeah. How about the PCCA?
So far, the PCCA will not be there.
Okay.
But
that's the Cichlid
North
Society.
American. That's the Pacific Coast Cichlid Association. Yeah. They haven't yet, but there is still time. If someone wants to contact me from there, we're happy to include them. But we do also have the American Killifish Association and the North American Native Fish Association, as well as ARCOF, of course.
Yep.
That's a great list.
Yeah. Especially all those local groups, and some are like North American Freshwater Fish Association. That's a national group. So, NAMFA has their own little booklet, pamphlet, the journal that you can get when you join that club. So if you want to know what local fish you have, that's a great group to belong to.
Yeah, for sure.
So right after our stream today, Skipper will be having the Fish Fam auction. I posted the YouTube link in there. It'll start in about 1 more minute. So with that, I want to say thank you for all showing up today. I want to thank Luke for talking to us about his hobby and the FinDig, and I want to thank one of my co-hosts. I was going to say Scruffy John, but because they're scruffy and scruffy cichlids, but because you're looking scruffy today, I was John with Surf City Cichlids, just down the street from me. So I want to thank him for taking his time out of his busy schedule to come visit with us. So
pleasure to be here, Luke. Pleasure to meet you.
Great to meet you too. Hoping to meet you in person.
Thank you for being in our audience today, and for those who watch on the replay, thank you guys for watching the replay. So with that, do your water changes, hug your family, and be nice to each other.
Indeed.
See you in the Fish Fam.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.